90-day fiancés Debbie Johnson and Tony Starcevich from Canada don't have a bright future together. Debbie has already messed up her relationship. 90-day. The Single Life Season 3 couple Debbie Johnson and Tony Starcevich are likely heading for a split. Debbie was a franchise villain who was introduced to viewers in 90-day Fiancé Season 6. Debbie's son, Colt Johnson, starred in the show with his Brazilian partner, Larissa Lima, whom Debbie detested greatly. Larissa wasn't aware of Debbie's close bond with her son, leading to clashes between them. After his divorce from Larissa, Colt dated Jess Caroline but later married his close friend, Vanessa Guerra. Shockingly, once Colt and Vanessa ended up together, Debbie started feeling left out. Debbie's husband of 27 years, Harley Johnson, passed away 13 years ago. She has since ached to have a partner to spend the sunset years of her lifetime with. So Debbie re-entered the dating scene, and after hitting it off with Tony online, Debbie met him in Las Vegas. Tony was never Debbie's ideal man, but she realized that didn't matter. Debbie and Tony became official right after that first meeting and decided she was leaving her Nevada home to permanently live with Tony in Canada. In November 2023, Debbie posted an appeal to her followers on Instagram, asking them to help her if they could. Debbie told her fans to message her ASAP with any information they could give her about getting permanent residency in Canada. She reached out to her followers in the Vancouver area as she urgently needed an immigration lawyer. Not too sick expensive, she added, and mentioned that the lawyer's services could be pro bono. Debbie was still living in Canada then, as revealed by the rest of her message. She added, "I love it here and really want to get my permanent residency." Debbie wrote that if her followers could help her, they could message her. A fan told Debbie, "You can't just move to Canada from the US or any other country. There's a thing called immigration laws in the comments." However, Debbie may have chosen to ignore the fan's advice, since she ended up in trouble while attempting to move up north. Debbie took to social media to share an update about what happened after she sought help from an immigration lawyer. Debbie and Tony were trying to enter Canada together when Tony was allowed entry, but Debbie wasn't. She wrote she had some really bad news to share with her fans. She said she was turned down at the Canadian border. Debbie had to go back to Vegas until her permanent residency was filed. Debbie claimed she was given bad information and didn't file the papers on time. Debbie again asked her fans to send their prayers please and explained the next steps to reunite with Tony. Debbie revealed she was in the process of gathering all the required documents and information she needed to apply for Canadian residency. Debbie had traveled to live with Tony several times. She was even filmed with Tony in his Port Coquitlam house for 90-day. The Single Life Season 3. Debbie had visited Canada and had not faced any issues previously. She was confused about why she wasn't allowed to re-enter Canada now. "They say nope, you can't come in until your paperwork is filed," Debbie explained. Debbie wished for the authorities to show some sympathy for a couple in their 70s who wanted to be together. Debbie had fallen fast for Tony when she introduced him as her boyfriend on 90-day. The Single Life. However, in 2022, fans spotted one of Tony's shirtless photos in his season premiere introduction segment and noticed that Tony had a tattoo with ties to a Croatian fascist group. The design looked like the one found on the Croatian flag. However, the pattern had a distinct resemblance to the sigil that the Croatian fascist group called the Ustase, who were responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of Serbians, Jews, and Romani people during World War II were using. Debbie had not fallen for Tony because of his physique and tattooed body. He wasn't even her type at first when she met him. However, when fans confronted Debbie, she told a fan it wasn't a white supremacy tattoo. Debbie insisted it was a Croatian flag. Reddit user /mommysaysbadturdstew shared a screenshot of Debbie's Instagram comments where she defended her boyfriend's controversial tattoo, saying, "I mean you are just plain ignorant," while accusing them of spreading lies to get attention. When Debbie was in Canada visiting Tony, she went for a walk on a beach. She exclaimed, "I love it here." Debbie admitted it was probably the most relaxed she had felt in years. Debbie wanted to run away from the noisy and crowded area that is Las Vegas. She was craving a new life after years of living for her son Colt. Debbie confessed she had mixed feelings about going to Canada. However, Debbie also said that she had been separated on a permanent basis from her son and perhaps saw no point in living close to him anymore. Debbie decided to move to Canada after visiting Tony for a second time. Debbie was 100% sure that she wanted to move out of Las Vegas and leave the US for good. At first, Debbie did question whether she was moving too fast after meeting Tony's friends. She was contemplating whether she was ready to make a major move, which involved leaving her friends and family behind. Debbie concluded that one way or the other, she wanted to live with Tony instead of ending the relationship and coming back home. Debbie found a person to be fixated on after obsessing over her son for so long. Debbie started feeling very comfortable with Tony and saw herself spending her life with him. Moving to Canada meant that she was letting Colt know she was giving up on their relationship and leaving him after all these years. Debbie saw that Colt and Vanessa needed their space. At the same time, she decided not to invade their privacy. Debbie could be yearning for Colt to come and stop her from leaving. Debbie decided that Tony was the one she saw spending her forever with. She was taking a big risk by moving to Canada with him. Debbie revealed she was going to be staying with Larissa until she could get her immigration issues figured out. Debbie's new friendship with Larissa might help her see everything she'll miss once she moves. Debbie might end up breaking up with Tony for good if she isn't able to reunite with him. Debbie's ideal life with Tony might now involve her staying in the US. Debbie always wanted Tony to get along with Colt and her family. On 90 Day, The Single Life, she expected Tony to become friends with Colt so it could help her and Colt's relationship grow. However, since that never happened, Debbie might decide she'll look for love in the US instead and say goodbye to Tony for good.